If you looked around at the clothes section and department stores lately, you've seen a lot of like crocheted clothes, a lot of clothes that have quilts on them. So today I wanted to make uh, a shirt with a quilt block on it. So I want to go ahead and show you how to do that today. So I picked up this shirt. I think it was like $6 or something like that. Just a plain at Walmart. Just a plain shirt. What you want to look for, something that is. This one's kind of thin. I tried to look for something that's a little bit thicker, and I couldn't find one. But that's okay. We're going to use some interfacing on here, or some fusible web. So I'm going to go ahead and use this shirt, and I'm going to put a quilt block on it that we're going to be working with to put on my shirt. So you can actually, I just put colors in there just so you could see it, but you can do any colors that you want. You have a couple different ways that you can do this. You can use vinyl and just cut these out. I made it to where, it's all the pieces are separated. So it's an SVG file. I'm going to have this for sale on my website, and I'll give a link down below on where you can purchase this. So you can do vinyl and just do different colors like this and iron that to your shirt, or you can do um, fabric, cotton fabric, and you can put fusible web behind it. And whenever you do that, you would just do different layers and put fusible web, and then you could do a satin stitch in the middle. What I think that I'm going to do with it is go ahead and make an actual quilt block and then put fusible web behind the quilt block after I sew it all up. And then I may do a satin stitch just around the actual block. So the fusible web will stick everything to the back. It'll be just one big block. I won't be doing separate pieces of fabric. So how I'm going to do that is I'll need to do the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Add a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit smaller so I can see. So we'll start with this, and I'm just going to I'll just put these over to the side. And just go with what I'm working with. I'm just going to use whatever fabric I have, so it might not necessarily be this color. I'm going to go to the page. I'm going to make this a little bit, I'm going to make it 12 by 12 so we can kind of see what I'm working with here. Okay, and in order to get your 1/4 inch seam allowance, so the 1/4 inch will be 250. And I'm going to go ahead and keep that rounded because that's going to be, and I'm thinking that what I'm going to do is, before I do this, I'm going to ungroup these. Now just go to Object, Release Compound Path, and now see they're all ungrouped separately. So that, and I'm going to kind of spread them out. Now I'm just going to select them all. We'll do an offset of 2.50, so that's a 1/4 inch. Looks like that's a little bit, oops. Let me cancel that. I need to put them out just a little bit further. Now I'm going to select them all, do an offset of 2.50. Sorry, 0.250. Then I'm going to apply, and I don't know if you can see, but around each one there is a red outline, and that is what is going to be cut. Let me bring this one just a little bit in, because if you notice, it was over the cut line. I always put a cut line around my on my mat, so that way I know exactly where it's going to cut. This one may have been a little bit, there we go. Now when I cut these out with my silhouette, it's going to cut out on the red line. It won't cut out on the middle unless I ask for it to. So let me go ahead, I don't have my silhouette hooked up, but I'm going to go ahead and send and show you. So if I send and it's on, I'm going to put it on cut edge. So I have it on carriage 2. I went ahead and plugged in my silhouette, and I have it on the rotary cutter, so that's why I have it on carriage 2. And I highlighted everything and click cut rotary edge. I don't want to do rotary cut because it would cut both the fabric and the 1/4 inch seam, and I don't want that. I just want the 1/4 inch seam to be cut, so that way I can use that to cut my block. So if you notice these little lines, that's where my rotary cutter on my silhouette will turn and move on to the next line. So we're going to go ahead and cut these out, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like after they've all been cut out. I'm going to do that for every one of them. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 colors. Just want to give a little tip while I'm cutting these out. If you decide to do it this way and just cut out each individual one and sew them together, sometimes, like on this one, there was a block. Anyway, it was like this block right here, and it just wouldn't, it just kept doing, cut both of these. So what I did was I just ungrouped them, and you see there's 2 now. You could do this one or this one, either one. I just ungrouped it and got this out of my way, and it just cut the outside, because that's all you need anyway. But if you have one that's kind of, whenever you hit send, and it just had, this one had 2 lines, 2 blue lines, so it cut out a little one and a big one. So I just ungrouped it, moved it over to the side, had it cut out the outside. So if you have any issues like that and you want to cut this way, then that's how you fix that. This is what it looks like after everything's all cut out. Notice it's still rounded. I'm gonna just piece all of these together, yeah, I'll just piece all these together, and probably I'll start at the 4 corners first. Those are 4 squares, and then I'll work my way. I'll do my rows. So we will have this row first, and then I'll go with this row, and there's this row. So there's 3 rows. I probably, if I would have done it over, I may have gotten a little bit bigger for my blocks, but I'm going to try this first and see how I like it after it's all sewn together, because it's going to be condensed a whole lot, because I made it to be a 10-inch block all the way around, but I'm thinking after all of the seams, then it's going to be kind of small. But we'll see. We'll go ahead and piece those together. If I think it's going to be too small, I may put like a border around it and make it a little bit bigger. But we'll see after we get these all pieced together. Okay, here's the top row. It's pretty easy sew, so I will show you how I did it using these other ones as well. But I just pressed everything flat. With making for a t-shirt, it doesn't matter if you do sides or flat, but I would rather press everything flat. So that way, sorry, let me get it in focus. So that way it'll lay nice and flat on your shirt. So I've got these three, and then I will sew these all together, and then I will get started on these. And like I said, I'll show you how to sew these as well. Okay, so I have these all. I want to make sure that I have them laid out exactly like I want them. So this one is kind of pointing down, and this one's pointing that way. So I'm just going to put those together like so. And then this is where I'll sew right through here. And I'll open them up while I'm done. Now on this, I'm going to go ahead and I press every time, so that way I'll get them nice and flat the way I want them. And I'm going to chain piece, so I have the other block. Okay. So this is what this one looks like sewn together. And this won't be the same. It kind of looks exactly the same, but whenever you have them on the block the way you want them, all laid out, make sure you just lay everything out as you do them so you don't get them all confused. Then you'll know which way to turn them. Okay, what you want to do, the most important for these are, this is kind of a weird setup here. So what you want, this is kind of a weird setup with, that looks like these. So what you want to do first is sew these together first. So I will sew this like that. Sew this like that down the side here, and it's going to open up, and then it will be together. And then you just sew this onto those two. So when you open it up, it's going to look like this, all sewn together. Pretty easy. So I went ahead and I sewed up my block. This is what it looks like. It's a nice cute little block. I thought it was a little bit too small, so I went ahead and put borders around it, which is fine. So what I'm going to do now, you could do one of two things. You can go on the back, you see the back, I put everything open seams because I want it to lay nice and flat. You can put some stabilizer on it and then sew around the stabilizer, make a little hole, and then turn it inside out to make kind of a, the edges would be rounded, which would look really nice, and you could just satin stitch around the shirt. Or what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and just put some heat and bond on the back and bond that to my shirt. It's going to be a flat, it's going to be flat. So I think I'm just going to heat and bond on the back, and then just iron it to my shirt, and then I will satin stitch around it, and it's going to be pretty flat, which is good. That's what I want. Like I said, you can do it the other way to make it more like almost a little bit puffy, so almost like a 3D effect. But you can, like I said, put that just a stabilizer, not the fusible, just a stabilizer. Turn it inside out. Your corners be rounded. It just however you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and put some heat and bond on the back and iron it to the shirt, and then I'll do a satin stitch around and I'll show you the finished product. This is the heat and bond that I'm using, and it's a paper on one side and the other side has little dots. That's glue. It's shiny. So I'm going to take my block. I'm going to take my block and I'm going to go ahead and iron it to the block. I cut out my heat and bond just a little bit smaller than my block, but not too much smaller. I'm going to lay it down flat. You don't want to make sure that you get the right side, because if you do the other side, it's going to mess up your iron. Don't ask me how I know. And as I am ironing, just get a few minutes on. Make sure I get the edges. Make sure I get the edges very well. I think I got everything. You can kind of keep it over there for 2 or 3 seconds on each. But make sure that you use the instructions that's on the heat and bond, and it'll tell you exactly what to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off and then get my shirt. Okay. Oh, it didn't stick to where I have my seams. It didn't stick to the little part, so I need to push it down a little bit harder. Okay, and you probably can't, well, you kind of can see it. It's shiny. After I pulled off that heat and bond, it's shiny. That's the glue. So I'm going to go ahead and iron it to my shirt. And I have a heat press, so I'm going to heat press it. I'm just going to eyeball it on the placement in the middle here. I'm kind of going off of the, I don't know if you can see, my collar has a line right here. I'm just going to kind of go off that and put, like, center things that way. I think I have a t-shirt ruler. I'm just going to eyeball this one. And instead of taking it to my heat press, I'm just going to go ahead and iron it because it's already here. The same as before, you just want to make sure you keep it on there for a couple minutes. Let's make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, I don't think that's going anywhere, but I am going to satin stitch around the edges to get it good and secure so it doesn't come off in the wash. And it's not 100% straight, so I'm gonna do some satin stitches in and make the edges look a whole lot better. I wish I had a peachy color for my satin stitch, but I don't. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this color. I'm going to go ahead and just use this color for my stitch. I think it'll look good because of the tan. It's kind of a tan. It kind of looks white here, but it's more of a tan color, and it'll kind of match with some of the squares. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. First, you need to always practice your satin stitch so you can get to the correct what you want. So I'm going to, my baby lock has a, let me see, it's 05, it's a zigzag stitch, and I'm going to up my stitch, the width to, I'm gonna go with 5, and then the length, I'm gonna go with 1.1. So we'll try it, and if we don't like it, we'll do something else. Yeah, I think that will look good. Kind of a stitch length that's yeah, I think that's gonna be good. It's very close together. That's what I want. I think we'll go with that. Okay, I went ahead and got that sewn onto the shirt with a satin stitch. Thought it turned out pretty cute. The only thing that I would have done different, doing it this way. I mean, it would be different any other way you do it, but if you do it this way, you need, and I didn't have any, but you need some kind of stabilizer on the back. What I have some stabilizer, but I would have preferred like a wash away or tear away stabilizer. This is just a regular stabilizer that I use for embroidery. So it's just gonna stay on the back, which is okay. You know, this is my shirt. So, but if I were to do it differently, if I'm gonna make another one, I would go ahead and purchase some stabilizer, some wash away stabilizer or tear away stabilizer. So just a little tip for if you decide to do it this way. Any other way it's fine, because if you use this stabilizer that I use here for the back before I sewed it down, then it would be like it would have been sewn onto, and I'll make another video later to show you what I mean. But you turn it inside out and it's kind of a little puffy, and you just do a little satin stitch around the front. That would have been fine because it acts like a stabilizer, or it is a stabilizer for the back, so you don't have to put it behind the shirt to get some kind of stabilizer. If you do it with SVG or with vinyl, with vinyl, and stick that to that, and then just do a satin stitch around, you might need a stabilizer for that as well. And the reason why I needed a stabilizer is this shirt is pretty thin, so it wouldn't just flow down with the presser feet. So it needed something to hold it to where I could actually sew with it, and it would go with the feed dogs. So anyway, if you decide to make one, then there's just a few tips there. I'll go ahead and take some pictures. I'll try this on, take some pictures, and let me know if you make one below. I would love to see it. I do have a hashtag that I'm starting. It's called CEQ Creations, and I'll put that on my blog post, and just hashtag CEQ Creations. If you make this, definitely tag me in it, like on Instagram or whatever, so I would love to see it. If you like this video, then go ahead and hit that like button below, and also if you want to see more like this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that you watching. It really helps me out a lot. Until next week, thanks for watching.